The athletics department announced Sunday night that men's basketball head coach Tom Parada will not be returning to Canisius for another season after a disappointing loss in the MAC tournament over the weekend. Last week, Canisius Chronicles correspondent Mary Battaglia spoke with Parada and some of the players about the challenges of being a Division I student athlete.
We are here at the Kessler Athletic Center days before the MAC tournament talking to some of the men's basketball players about what it takes to be a student athlete here at Canisius. It may seem like the men's basketball team gets a lot of nice perks, but people don't realize the amount of hard work and dedication that goes into being a Division I student athlete.
We practice around 18 hours a week. We travel around maybe on Wednesday. We leave Wednesday, so we miss class. So it's very hard to be on the road with distraction, doing study halls plus games. It's very hard, but I mean, I'm glad to be here, and it's great to be part of the school.
Between practice, games, and all of that traveling, the men's basketball team still manages to keep their academics a very high priority. For Gabby Bellardo, he still carries a 3.6 GPA. Tell me about some of the cool stuff you guys get as a team.
Well, we do get some gear. We get we stay in a pretty nice hotel. We get shoes. We get T-shirts and everything. But
you think they're good perks for all the hard work that you do?
I mean, I think it is. While when everybody's in the summer is having fun at home, we always are here working hard in our games and everything. Same in Christmas. We never get to go home in Christmas. We always here working hard in our games. So I think we deserve a reward or some gear.
Head coach Tom Parada makes sure that the boys are students first and athletes second.
I think if you keep things kind of in balance, and obviously academics is something that we talk to over and over again throughout the recruiting process. Basketball is very much a close second, and then we talk to them about growing as young men. And if you stay true to that, you know, day in and day out, it makes it pretty easy to try to keep them on track.
The team's hard work has molded them into not only role model athletes, but positive representatives of Canisius College as well.
We come and practice every day, practice hard, and we don't just go through the motions. We try to get better each and every day, and our coaching staff has done a great job of putting things in place for us to build as a team, not only on the court, but off the court as well. And I think we're becoming a very strong group. We're here every day with the coaching staff. We know exactly what they do each and every day and how much work they put into us each and every day. So, you know, everybody on the outside looking in, they don't really understand how much work our coaching staff actually puts in. So we're confident in them as they are in us. So, you know, we just try to go out there and play as hard as we can just to show and prove to everybody that not only are we a good group of guys, they're a great group of great coaching staff. Reporting
for Canisius Chronicles, I'm Mary Battaglia.
Now here for us today is the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator of the Canisius College women's basketball team, Tara Fleming. Good morning, Tara.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. How do you think your team played this past season?
We did okay. I mean, I think us as a staff and a program and the girls are a little bit disappointed because we had set some goals early in the season. But a big thing for us going into this season was not to set such specific goals as to winning a conference championship or finishing in a certain place. You know, that's out of the expectation or out of the realm of reality. We don't have any seniors this year, so a huge thing for us was, can we get better every day? You know, because this program is building to a spot where next year we will have seniors and we will have that senior leadership. So this year we really wanted to focus on, you know, building our program, getting better every single day in practice, continuing to work and having the success that we've had in the classroom, and, you know, continuing to develop these girls into young women.
So next season you will have that senior leadership, but what are your plans for the incoming freshmen? What can you tell us about the recruiting process for next year?
We have 2 commitments right now, and the 2 girls that have signed, and we're very excited about them, and we're currently looking still at, you know, maybe 1 or 2 more positions. The expectations for freshmen are the same as, you know, any freshman coming in. There's not a huge amount of, yes, they're going to play 40 minutes a game, but they're going to come in and their heads are going to spin for a little bit because there's so much involved with being a student athlete. We really want them to focus on their time management and really excelling in the classroom first, because that's hands down most important to Coach Zay, and then really focusing on getting better as a basketball player. And no one slips through the cracks. Whether you play 40 minutes a game or whether you never see the floor, you're still expected to work just as hard as every person went through, you know, next year it'll be 14. It's really, really important to coach for that to happen.
So, of course, these freshmen, the athletic expectations aren't necessarily as high as the older players.
Right.
But, of course, they're still held up to the same academic standards,
Absolutely.
of course. What can you tell us about your team's academic standards?
Well, we're actually really proud of our girls, and as much as we'd like to say us as a staff has something to do with it, they're incredibly motivated, and I think in combination with the professors that we have and how outstanding they are and the support services that Canisius has, we were 10th in the nation last year in overall GPA with a 3.4, and for the amount of work that they have to do outside of the classroom and for the expectations from us as a staff and from professors as well, we're really proud of them. They put a lot of work in. They have not just that time in the classroom, which is so important, and the studying and things needed to go on outside of that classroom, but they also have lifting and practicing and film and meetings with staff and meetings with teams and traveling because of games and tournaments and things like that. So there's a lot of outside things that could really pull someone away from being great in the classroom. And that's something our girls are really motivated on, and that's something we stress really hard in the recruiting process, is you're here to get an education. Yes, you're here to play basketball, but that comes after getting your degree. It's hands down most important. And they've really taken that to heart, and they're the ones actually that made the goal to be top 10 in the country, and when they achieve that, they're really proud of themselves, as they should be.
How do you think students around campus view your team? Throughout the season, you got around 600, 700 people attending your games on average, but there were some games against Niagara. I think you had a Kids Day, a special event, where you had around 1,200 fans. How do you think the people around Buffalo and students on campus view your team?
I think, we wouldn't be what we are without them, first of all. I think having them there is huge for us. With our Kids Day game, I mean, we came back and to win that game in overtime, we don't do that without the energy from the crowd. And I think sometimes people underestimate how important that is to have those fans there and to have that energy, because at the end of a game, when our girls have played major minutes and that energy drains a little bit, to hear people in the crowd cheering you on and wanting so badly for that success, it really motivates you. So I think obviously you always want teams to be successful, and that's something we're continuing to strive to do. But I think it's huge that they're there and that they're a part of that. We couldn't do it without them.
All right, well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure having you here in studio. Good luck to you and the rest of the Canisius women's basketball team next season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The last team here to be highlighted today is a newly formed Canisius College varsity rowing team. Here's Hayden Rostevsky taking us in for a closer look.
One of the benefits of going to a school like Canisius is the fact that we have Division I sports. Teams like basketball, hockey, they bring in big crowds and tons of fans. But what about our smaller, less popular teams? Don't they deserve recognition too? We're here at the Kessler Athletic Center to find out what they have to say and give those teams a voice. They're Division I sports too. Women's rowing is one of these smaller sports. Head coach Joel Furtek sat down with us to discuss what the sport is all about.
We're the oldest intercollegiate sport. You go back to the beginning of sports in colleges, and you go back to the Yale-Harvard race in 1852. So it was the first sport that was regularly practiced between teams, and that race continues today between Yale and Harvard. So it's got a ton of history, but it's also fairly new to a lot of college campuses, especially on the women's side. We started to see a real uptick in the late 80s, early 90s, and we now have something on the order of 120 varsity programs nationwide competing on the women's side for an NCAA championship. One of the neat things about rowing is that it's still accessible to everyone. We don't have the sort of talent identification pools that sports like soccer and basketball have, where at a very young age talent is identified. In rowing, we've got a lot of people walking around that were born to row and just don't know it. So we're open to new student athletes at all times. And in fact, our team this year is made up entirely of non-recruited student athletes.
There's been many rumors circulating about rowing as a Division I sport here at Canisius, and Furtek shed some light on how intense the sport truly is.
We start at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and there have been a number of mornings where we come in and we set up and we start rowing. While we're rowing, another team comes in, sets up their practice. practices, takes down their practice and leaves, and we're still rowing. And that's, I think that's a great opportunity for those other teams to see us training. So anyone that's gone through that process, I don't think they'd question the diligence that our women with which our women are training. And I think it's a new sport. No one's seen it yet. We haven't had our first race. So I can understand how someone might not know this about our sport, but we've done everything we can. I think we'd always welcome any other teams or anyone on campus that would like to see what it's about. It's definitely not an easy sport, but we enjoy every bit of it. And the hard training is a reward in itself, but it really pays off when we get out onto the race course.
Vertec also emphasized the team's utmost respect for all sports and athletes.
We're all doing something that's a little bit different. And I respect the skill of someone that can spike a volleyball just as much as the skill of someone that can row 2,000 meters in 6 minutes. I put those two together, they're vastly different sports, but we're all after the same thing, which is the competitive side of things. We want to be competitive, supportive, and inclusive. Those are the three things. And nowhere does it say exclusive, right? Inclusive. So if someone is doing their chosen sport at whatever level they're doing it, we respect that.
He also wanted to let people know how exciting rowing can be.
Pretty exciting sport when you see the intensity that's involved. When you see a race that has two boats side by side all the way to the finish line, you're just not sure who's going to win. And in fact, a lot of times you don't know who won. It was so close. That kind of intensity is great.
Sophomore Sam Baracle, a former rower, sat down with us to give us her perspective on the sport. To our knowledge, you used to be on the rowing team.
Yes, I was last semester.
And how did you go about getting onto the Division I rowing team?
Well, I was on the club team last year. We found out we were going to Division I. And over the summer, Joel got in contact with us and said, oh, there's going to be tryouts. There's no just because you're on the club, you're not on the one team now. So we tried out. It was a 3-day process, and then rosters came out that afternoon.
What did you think was the hardest part about being part of the rowing team?
I think it was switching from a club team to a Division I team. The time commitment tripled. What we had to do tripled. It was just a lot different than I expected. So probably because I had previous experience in the club team, that made it harder.
Do you ever feel like because you weren't recruited or anything like that, that anyone at school treated you differently because of that?
I know some girls had problems with other athletes saying like, oh, you guys aren't real athletes. But we actually tried out for it, even though I didn't do it in high school, because not many high schools around here offer it unless you go to a private school. So part of that, yes, but even the girls who were recruited weren't treated any differently. I know a couple of girls said some of the guys mocked them, saying that they're not a real sport, they don't know what a sport is. But rowing, it's a sport. I mean, it's just as hard as any other sport. Just because we weren't recruited and we haven't been doing it since high school doesn't mean we're not working as hard as other people.
If you had to tell students at Canisius, teachers, other people in the athletic department, whether it's athletes, other coaches, what would you want them to know about rowing?
I suggest them coming to one of the practices to see what they do on the water, watch them. You can see them going down the canal a little bit. They work hard. It's 5:30 in the morning. People should come see to actually see what it's about, because a lot of people don't know what rowing is. I just think people should see what it is for themselves before they make a judgment.
Overall, Vertec feels that Canisius has given him the resource and opportunities to make the Division I rowing team a successful one.
I helped start the program at the University of Virginia, and I started the program as head coach at the University of North Carolina. So 2 ACC schools with lots of money and fantastically huge athletic departments. And I haven't been disappointed in anything I've experienced here at Canisius College. We're working on the motto of small school, big speed, and we've lived up to that so far.
This is Hayden Rostevsky reporting for Canisius Chronicles.
Well, that wraps up the show for us today, folks. We here at Canisius Chronicles hope this insightful episode clarified some murky topics for you. Best of luck in all your endeavors, and have a good day.